or Dark Souls 1, you know, you come back to fight those last bosses, and, you know, now you have the expansion bosses under your belt, and it's you feel overpowered for it, you know? But yeah, so I like the idea of actually beating the last boss of this one, and then moving on to other places. So, here we go. A Greybeard, as well as Crab. Good to see you both. And now... so now, here's what I hear tell of. I hear tell that this game has two expansions. I mean, I know that much. It's got 2 expansions. They are... I hear that one of them is accessible about halfway through, the other is accessible at the end. Now, one thing that I noticed when we popped into the Kiln of the First Flame, however... Let's take a quick look over here. Bibbidi-beep-bidi-boo. Right here, there is this other odd bonfire that says, travel to the Dreg Heap. I can only imagine that this is the entrance point to the expansion that's accessible from the end of the game, being that this is the end of the game, and that's where the last encounter is, right up there. So, our first goal today, since I would like to do them in a more canonical order, is I would like to find the other bonfire. I'm guessing it's another bonfire, you know, that that takes you to the first expansion. So, you know, only reasonable thing to do, if you ask me, is to just run through the world and figure out where the other bonfire is. You know, what do people mean when they say that it's accessible halfway into the game, you know? Who knows? Time to find out. But, you know, I know what I'm looking for now. Right now, I'm gonna go to Anne Orlando just because it's like it's a big area, or it's a important place, you know. So we'll just see if it's here. But yeah, now I know what I'm looking for. In that, I believe I am looking for a suspicious new bonfire, right? And it's probably going to be pretty close to another bonfire. So I had the right idea where I was like going to all the important places before. However, the thing that I missed, or the thing that I didn't know, was the fact that I was looking for a bonfire. I didn't know what I was looking for, you know? Whether it would be something that's really out there, like in Dark Souls 2, they actually changed the level geometry, you know, in a couple spots to add those shrines, right? But this is just a little bonfire probably, so I doubt that it's going to actually like change the level geometry. In fact, if I had noticed a bonfire, I probably wouldn't have even thought about it yesterday until it was that one that was like really out of place, you know? It was like right next to another bonfire, and very much something that I'm going to notice, you know? This one, though, could that be it right there even? So here we go in Irithyll. Blong! Like, could this be it? No, rest at bonfire. So now we're in central Irithyll. Why is that even a bonfire? I guess just because, yeah, it makes enough sense. That's fine. All right. Do. So yeah, that's what we're up to today, is locating the other bonfire. I've got a couple spots that I'm gonna look for, or that I'm gonna look in right away, you know? But besides those, I feel like we just need to run through the world. La, da, 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 da. Alright, so here's where we fight old Pontiff Sullivan. But who knows? What about these places, you know? What about right back here? I mean, I doubt it's going to be hidden, per se. But I also doubt that it's not going to be somewhat, slightly out of the way. I always hesitate to come here because this was like a huge PvP hub, wasn't it? So I just feel like coming here is, you know, while embered is just immediate grounds for invasion. All right, so let's just hop in the world and run through it, shall we? So I am going to pop down right here, and I mean, let's just go all out and go to the Cemetery of Ash. You know, I doubt it's something that's going to be accessible from all the way back here. Oh, what a cool view of Firelink over here. I never really noticed this because, you know, you're not there yet. So that's the big bell tower. Cool. Just a great shot of it, you know? All right. You know, I really don't need to look through here. I'm immediately reversing my decision of going so crazy on the idea of I don't know where it is. Oh, there's the doorbell. One moment. All right. I got my package, just some hardware for the keycon. I got the wrong kind of screw for the internal screws on the keycon, so I needed to get more. And then also I misplaced my little metal dowels that I ordered, so I had to get more of those as well. So there we go. There's my new metal dowels. Just throw them right in the bag this time so I don't misplace those again. And then here, I've got my screws. This should be good. These shouldn't be Torque's head this time. I believe these should be Phillips' head. Yeah, we got Phillips' head. Screws for threading into plastic. 1/4 inch thick. Or 1/4 inch long, I mean. Cool. It was weird. So the issue I had with the internal screws last time is I ordered screws that were 6 millimeters long because I'm measuring everything in millimeters, you know? But then the only ones that what was I saying? I got a message. I wanted 6 millimeter long screws, but I didn't even notice because I didn't look close enough that the only the only ones measured 6 millimeters, had Torx head tops. And when I saw that I had ordered those later, I was like, oh shit, well, oh well, I'm pretty sure here, let's check if it's in this version. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure I have one of those, and then now they're here, and nah, I do not have a bit that fits in the top of them. I have, you know, hexagonal or star pattern bits, but none that are that tiny. So that, among also the fact that I misplaced my metal dowels, I had to reorder some hardware, so that's here. Oof. Okay. But yeah, I've still got a few things to work on with that controller. Right now, all of the like metal inserts for the screws, and basically the screws that hold it together, are all they're all in these like plastic poles, you know, these hollow plastic poles. And I found out right away that it's too brittle, you know. So, and also if there's bowing, I've got the screw holes too far into the center to deal with all of the bowing, you know. So I'm moving the screw holes back out toward the edges, and what I'm gonna do is just chamfer in the edges or the corners, and put a screw hole on that chamfered corner so that it's a nice, strong, sturdy, solid plastic chunk. And also that it clamps it together a bit better. And then the other change is I think I just made the screw holes for the internal screws too little, and so they're bound to break. You know, they're bound to just get just broken outward from the inside when I try to ram a screw in there. You know. Other than that, I think we're fine. The funny thing about the metal dowels, though, is that, so those are like two internal poles that the cord wraps around, and I made the poles hollow so that you can put a metal dowel inside, and that way it will be strong when you yank on it, you know? I realized that one of them I should have be one of the screw holes. Just have one of those be one of the screw poles, you know? So that if you yank on the cord, it just yanks on one of the screws. You know, that'll be strong. So yeah, a few things like that I'm redesigning right now. But I haven't been at home for a couple days, so. Oops. Oof. I thought I was going to be able to punish that better. All right. Ooh, too early. I never know whether my, you know, like, okay, so if you hit somebody and your sword kind of passes through their shield, you know, that's good. You know, you can keep on comboing and you're destroying their stamina. But when your shield bounces off like that, it's real bad. Like that. I guess that's what two-handing is for. Like, I bet if I two-hand against his shield, yeah, that doesn't happen. But then he can still just fucking super armor through my move. Man, now that I know what super armor means, I use the term a lot. Alright. I guess you would just say he had enough poise. Okay. So, I wouldn't be surprised if the first one is, you know, to be found in here somewhere. But I do think that it's probably going to be close to an existing bonfire. So, maybe I should be thinking more about that. Hey, Melon. Hello, hello. Good to see you. What's up is I'm looking for the other expansion entrance. I believe, judging by the other one that I think I found, I believe it is just going to be a conspicuously placed bonfire that didn't exist before. And it's going to wisp me away to lands of unprecedented fun, right? Do. And so, where does that leave us right now? It means that I need to run through the world and find the bonfire that now exists and didn't before. And yeah, as I was saying, I heard tell that it's like halfway through the game, but, you know, I got no idea what that means, so I'm just gonna take a quick romp through, you know, and hopefully I don't miss it. So let's go. Because you never know if halfway through means halfway through the world, or if it means that, like, you get a key halfway through the game that opens something back here. You know, who knows? Maybe it's where that Dark Wraith was. So it's time now to very carelessly charge through guys who can't hope to kill me because I'm too much of a beefcake now. So that I'm used to the Dynasty Warriors gameplay once I get to the expansion, where I will promptly get my ass kicked. You know how it goes. Boop. Oh, right, this dragon's dead now. La da da da. This would go a lot faster if I wasn't, like, fighting all these guys, but, you know. Oh, well. Here's down here. Okay, so I've got a real problem. I left my water bottle somewhere. So now I don't have a bottle for water. I think I might have to go get a glass. 'Cause I don't have any water right now, and let me tell you, it's not making me feel great. Ooh! Man, Persona Q2 is so fun so far. I really like it, and I really like all of the changes that they made from the first one. So much so that I'm thinking, I've got enough to say about it, I think, that I might want to make a review about it. But at the same time, it's like, man, I don't know if I should be wasting my time on the YouTube thing, you know? I say that, but whenever I do make a video and release it, I'm always, like, I always feel pretty good about it, you know? Like, yeah, there are some things, there are some ways that I've done videos that I definitely wouldn't now, you know, that are relatively embarrassing. But for the most part, you know, I feel good when I finish a video and put it up online, so why not keep doing it? You're doing that now to me? But yeah. Basically, what I would like to do at this point is do a whole review, like an actual review of Persona Q, and then post something more about first impressions about Q2 and how everything so far is better. Wait a second. This isn't anything. By the way, my quarantine stash is coming in. I decided when Minnesota announced the stay-at-home order, I decided to shave and then let it go from there and see what happens, you know. And let me tell you, I hate having a mustache. I don't like how it feels. I also don't think that my mustache looks particularly good, you know? What is this that you can see? Is it this? I don't think that my mustache looks particularly good. I think it's rather shitty. But, you know, I wanted to really let it go this time and really see what happens. Usually what ends up happening, if I get too lazy to shave for too long, what happens is I start to just hate it so much. What up, Dong Diggity? It starts to keep me up at night. Just the way that it feels on my upper lip, just like the way that I have hair there and like I can feel it, just drives me insane. And eventually at one night I'll be sitting there, it's like rubbing on the pillow and shit, and I'm scratching it, and eventually I'm just like, the hell with it, and I go into the bathroom and buzz off my mustache, because I never shave with a razor. I always use a buzzer because it's just faster, less dangerous, and feels better afterward. Anyway, so I go in the bathroom and I buzz it off and then I go to sleep. That's usually what happens. I am going to try to make it happen this time. I'm going to try to not give in to my need for sleep and really allow this mustache to to be the quarantine stash, you know? And let me tell you, right now I'm telling you, it is getting into the territory where I usually get rid of it because it is annoying. But maybe it's one of those things, like, you know, when you're shaving, when you're growing out your regular hair, it gets to a point, you know? There's like one point where it's like in your eyes all the time, but it's not long enough to like go behind your ears or that kind of thing. And that's super annoying, you know? But eventually you get past that. So maybe the stash will get past that. I'm gonna be able to start waxing it and putting loops in it and stuff, you know, and then it'll be fine. Like, one of my issues with my stash is that it doesn't connect in the middle, you know? Like right here. But the thing is, like, that can look good if the rest of it is done right. Not on me, though. It's not the style I'm going for. Okay, so that's what all this is, huh? La da 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 da. Man, if only I knew more about this, could this be it? I don't remember there being a bonfire here. There's a bonfire here now. There wasn't before, though, right? Where did this come from? It was after we beat the dancer, I guess? That must be it. And so up there is the archives, right? No, it's Lothric Castle. Isn't there something to do with the archives up here, though? Maybe the castle goes right into there? I mean, I don't know what to think. I think people would probably consider this more than halfway through the game. I'm not gonna, like, worry too much about that wording, but, you know, there's definitely something to it. For now, I won't look too far away, like, stray too far from the bonfire here. Idiot. Whoa. Even those guys are, like, ignoring my shield? Or, they're like, bouncing me with their shield hits? Okay. Regular bonfire here. Oh, that field of view change. Yikes. Okie dokie then. Man, remember this place? You know, a little romp through the world might be just a fun memory, too. This game was, as far as the main story goes, man, it sure was shorter than Dark Souls 2. Like, because where are we at right now on here? 33 hours only? I feel like I was like 80 hours into Dark Souls 2 when I wanted to start the expansions. And that game had 3 of them. Okay. Wait a second. They reclosed this gate? I guess they locked the dudes in with the dogs. But why would the gate be designed that way, with the lever on both sides? I don't really get it. I mean, maybe the idea is that there would be someone standing guard, right? So if anybody unauthorized tried to pull the lever on the outside of the gate, then they'd get shot with an arrow. Perhaps. But I'm just not buying it. If you're gonna pay someone or whatever to stand guard with an arrow to keep guard, with a bow and arrow to keep guard on the lever that's on the other side, then you would just instead have it be someone who can pull the lever from the inside if they see someone who should be able to come in. So that theory's bogus. Yeah, I just don't get it. What's the point of the gate if you can just open it from either side? Oh. Do 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 do. So once again, I found myself reading a rather interesting debate about the idea of difficulty settings in Souls games. And I was moved over to it because, or I found it because I just heard Tyler Glale, generally speaking, saying that he doesn't like how like anytime you want to talk about the idea of difficulty modes in Dark Souls, the conversation can never just be about an interesting game design conversation about the implications of difficulty, how that affects, you know, the design, but rather nowadays it has to be an accessibility conversation. That you're a bad person. Hey, French toast. Like you're a bad person if you don't think it should have an easy mode because you want to be gatekeeping and exclusionary, you know? Well, like, that's not what it's about. It's a game design thing. It's about, you know, I don't know. Like, when you start, I mean, I like the topic from a game design perspective about the idea of all of the ways that the game is designed for it all to work, you know. But, like, when people start to try to bring morals into it is when it becomes exhaustive. You know what I mean? Like when someone wants to take a stance that puts you on a higher ground, you know, then it's like, we're not speaking the same language anymore. Drink the soup just 'cause. One thing I hadn't heard of, apparently, Well, firstly, I was gonna say, like, an interesting game design thing that's brought up about it. Like, the thing that, like, a big part of what Tyler was saying, but also Bennett Foddy was kind of in the thread that I was reading, the guy who made Quap and Getting Over It. They were saying that, like, a big part of... Oh, and Derek Yu, who made Spelunky. They were saying they don't want their players to be in menus all the time, was one thing. You want to, like, reduce the amount of time spent in menus as much as possible to keep somebody in the game, you know? And one thing that Bennett Foddy was saying, which I agree with 100%, is that when you make a player choose up front what difficulty they want, and then also allow them to change it, it distracts from the intended push and pull, or not push and pull. It distracts from the intended feeling of having a challenge, butting up against it, and eventually getting over it and feeling good about that. Instead, the entire time you're constantly thinking about the fact that you chose a difficulty setting and that you can change it. And you're wondering, is this how it's supposed to be? Is it supposed to be like this? And now you're not thinking as a player and you're thinking as a designer, you know? Like, you shouldn't be sitting there, like, wondering whether the game is designed properly. You should be looking at the challenge that you're faced with and trying to overcome it, you know? And, you know, that's how I feel about it. That's an interesting thing, French Toast, about, yeah, like, which difficulty is the intended difficulty? Right. Because, you know, you could say normal mode, right? Just balance the game around normal mode, and then there's options for other people. Which would be interesting in theory, but, like, I don't know if you can trust that. Because, like, for example, isn't it, like, Fallout New Vegas? Or some game that's similar to that. Not the Outer Worlds. This was a while ago. There was some game I played that said, like, it had, like, the hardcore... It might have been Metro. It had, like, the hardcore mode, right? Where things are really hard and yada yada. And like, included in that description, they say, you know, this is the difficulty intended by the developers. But it's like, I don't know, then shouldn't that be normal mode? Yeah, see that? Yeah, Metro is what I'm thinking of then. But then, so, like, to your point then, French Toast, make that normal mode. I didn't even realize it was something that cost extra. That sounds real dumb. But yeah, The perspective that I've always come from is that I'm very much on the side of keep the players out of menus, you know? And keep the players away from thinking about menus when they're supposed to be immersed in the world. And being challenged and possibly frustrated by something in the world that's big and scary and difficult is part of being immersed in the world. You're supposed to be afraid of the boss, you know? And so I very much agree with the idea of no difficulty options. The game is the way that the game is, and that's part of the experience, you know. But you know, I don't know. It's always tough to say. Cause like. Well, alright, because what I was going to say is, if you look at something like Sekiro, that game does have an easy mode, it's just a mod. So you can do a mod, you know? That way it doesn't really confuse the conversation very much when you talk about it. Because one thing for me, and a point that